Welcome back to the garage. This is part 2 on the LTZ400, and quick recap on where we left off. We pulled the top end, took all the plastics off, and this is where we have it to this point. I still have a lot more stuff to do. I still have to pull that Nerf bar over there. We still got to pull the motor out, the rest of the motor out of the frame, and break it down and replace the cases. So what we're going to do next is I think we're going to go over to the bench, and while I have this apart and I have the head off, I think what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to rebuild the head and hone the cylinder. So let's get to it. All right, we're at the bench. Let's get going on this head. So usually what I do when I rebuild the head is I like to take a piece of paper and I like to mark down, the way that I'm taking everything out of the head and put it in the corresponding spot on the piece of paper. And as you can see here, I have it labeled top. So this is the top, the intake on this side and the exhaust on this side. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull each thing out and I'm gonna put it in the corresponding spot. And the reason for that is because I already checked the shims in this, so the valve latch was perfect. So it may need adjustment after I lap the valves. Most likely not, because I don't plan on taking material. I just plan on cleaning the surfaces to get a better seal. And I think that's all we're going to have to do to this head. And we should be good. So each valve is worn into each spot. It's worn into the guide. It's worn into the seat. And the keepers themselves that keep the valves in place are worn into that stem. And the springs, everything. They're all married to each other, and I want to make sure they stay that way, so we don't have any failures or anything in the future, because we're going to reuse parts. And whenever you reuse valve parts, you want to make sure you put them in the exact same spot you took them out of. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with pulling the cups. And I have a pretty strong magnet right here, and basically all I do is I just stick it on top and lift up, and it pulls the cup right off. And I'm going to put the cup right there where it belongs. And the shim didn't come with it, so that'll pull the shim out for me, and that's going to go right inside the cup. Well, let's continue moving on. That one there, the shim actually came out with the cup, same as that one, and that one. All right, let's work on getting these valves out of here now. I think what I want to do first is I think I want to get a pair of pliers, and I want to pull these alignment pins out. So let me go grab those. There's one. It's fine. The ones on the bottom are more important because I want to make sure that I get this seat done properly. Let's pull this head gasket off. And again, it looks good. I don't see any issues with it. And that's going straight in the trash, because you never reuse head gaskets. Let's clean some of the oil off. All right, so these look pretty good so far. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the spark plug. I'll show you guys something. You can see down inside there. That spark plug hasn't been out ever, I don't think. It is completely filled with dirt and mud, and I can't even get to the socket. So I'm going to take some time and clean that all out and get that plug out of there. All right, guys, let's take a look at this plug. I probably took, I don't know, half a cup of dirt out of there. I don't think this plug's ever been changed, honestly. Wow, look at this thing. Look at this. It's like starting to rot. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a plug that bad. That is absolutely amazing. Well, like I said before, I don't think this bike has been properly maintained ever in its life, and it's lived a hard life, that's for sure. See if you guys can see that. Can you see down in there? I don't know if you can see it or not. This light's not the best, but it's pretty bad. Bad, worst I've ever seen. All right, let me clean it a little bit more. All right, so now I got this spark plug port all cleaned out. We'll get a little cleaner with brake cleaner. I'm going to work on cleaning up the bottom of the valves before we take them out so I don't damage the seats with the wire wheel. So we're just going to go over those real quick right now. Basically, I'm just going to hit the aluminum part, not where the gasket seats. Hit the valves real quick. Alright, that's good for now. That's a WD-40 on there. Clean some of this up. There's still quite a bit of carbon in there, so it's going to take some time to clean this all up. Do a little bit more. You can see it is coming out. You guys get the idea. I'm gonna keep working it till I get it good and clean. I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, I'll show you this part real quick. This is a snap-on pick, and basically it's not as hard as the valve. The valve is harder than this, so this is not going to scratch the valve at all. And basically you got to get all the carbon off, and there's a little bit of work involved, and you can see the carbon that's coming off of there. You can just see it. It's all building up on there. So I'm gonna keep working this until I get it nice and clean. I'll come back. All right, we got it cleaned up a little bit now. The exhaust valves are all cleaned up. The intake valves I need to hit on the wire wheel a little bit more when I take them out of the head. Right now I'm gonna scrape some of this head gasket off, and we're gonna resurface this. And I scrape it off with just a razor. And you got to be very, very careful that you don't score or gouge the head at all. And this takes a little bit of practice. This is not something that you just want to hop right in here and do if you haven't done it before. Take your time. And make sure that you don't gouge. And I didn't get it all off, but I got the heavy stuff. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sandstone and some WD-40. You always want to wet your stone. You don't want to use it dry. And I'm just going to clean the surface up, get everything off of it. And this is just an initial cleaning. This is not the final cleaning. I'll do this again before I put it back together. just in case I nick a surface. But for right now, I just want to clean it up to see what we're looking at. All right. All right, that's good enough for now. We'll do more later once I take the valves out. Just to give it a quick cleanup. And you got to be careful on this that you have the stone very, very flat so you don't gouge as well. You want to make sure that it's always across an opening so it can't fall inside and scratch and gouge. Again, this is something I've done for a long time, so I make it look easy, I guess. I don't know. That's pretty much it. And I'll do that top surface again before I reassemble and do the final cleaning on it. And the bottom looks much better. So we gotta get the valves out now, and we'll do that next. All right, I got one valve out. I did it off camera. You can see it's pretty carbonated. It's got carbon buildup on it, and we'll get that off with a wire wheel. Not a big deal. The seat looks pretty good. I don't see any issues with that. And the way I get the valves out is with this tool right here. I bought this on Amazon, I think, a few years back. I took a saw. This is really for car heads. It's not for motorcycle heads. You can see that you got to get down inside here, and the way this one was, it's for springs that stick up out of the head. Most of these new bikes have cups and they're down inside the head, so it doesn't work. They do sell valve removal tools specifically for these bikes. I didn't buy one. When I was looking for one, I wanted to get one that I could use on multiple heads, and I ended up just welding this thing on it because, of course, nature of the beast. I use it just on dirt bikes and motorcycles now. I mean, four-wheelers now. So basically, what I did was I took a 3/4 inch socket, and then I cut a window into it so that I can get in there with a magnet to pull out the keepers, and it works fine. No issues at all. I'll show you how I use it. And this was pretty cheap. I don't think I paid more than 30 bucks for this thing. Of course, the socket I had, and no big deal. So basically what you do is you just put it on you put the socket into the spring like this, and you pull this until it puts tension on it, and then you can always screw this in more if you need more. Let's take this one off, show you what I mean. And you set this part here, which I'll show you in a second. Let me just put tension on it. You can see, you put it right on the valve, and this part here goes on the spring. And let me get a little bit of light here so you can see it. And you can see down in there how the keepers are kind of exposed, not fully yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of tension on this to get it deeper. Just to make sure I can get all the way down in there. And now the keepers are fully exposed. See them? And it's pretty much the easiest way to do it. And then I take my magnet, my long skinny magnet, I stick it down in there, and I pull out the keeper. And the keeper goes in the cup where it came out of. Like I said before, you don't want to mix and match all this stuff up. And there's the other one. Okay? Easy as pie. And then you just reverse. You release this a little bit here. And you push down on this lever. And I want to hold the head pretty good because I don't want it to fall. And that's it. And that is it. And the top piece fell out. And it rolls on the floor, which I got right here. And you pull the spring out. And again, you leave everything together. And now you just pop the valve out, push on it, till it extends out, like you see here. And you just pull it out. That's it. I'm gonna do the other two off camera, and then we'll start cleaning all this stuff up. All right, all the valves are out. This valve here looks pretty good. This is an intake valve, and it looks pretty good. Got a really nice seat on it. This one here, seating really nice, but you can see the amount of carbon that's built up on that. We'll get all that off. All right, let's pull out the valve seals now. So we're gonna replace them. And you just pull up on them, grab them with a pair of pliers, pull up on them. They come out pretty easy. Everything looks good so far. I don't see any issues. I'm going to do some light cleaning in here right now with Scotch-Brite pad. Nothing too aggressive. Just a little bit. Try to get some of this carbon. All right, here's my wire brush. I'm gonna WD all this stuff up. Try cleaning some of this carbon out of here. It's pretty heavy. All right, we're gonna do a little lapping now, and basically I just use this stuff here, and we are going to put it on the area where it seats. And this stuff is super abrasive. Typically you don't want to get this everywhere, but the head's all apart, so we're gonna clean it really good before we put it back together anyway, to make sure we get all this compound out of there. So you just push it down like that, and I just use a little piece of rubber hose, and I push it down over the stem. Smaller piece. But a tight fit. I don't know if you can see that valve spinning. I think that should be good. It sounds pretty good anyway. Let's take a look at it. Wow, that looks fantastic. Let me get a decent light here so you can see this. See that beautiful silver ring? That is a perfect seat right there. Look at that. You couldn't ask for a better seat. That one's done. And you can see, actually, let me put the two together and you can see. You can see how clean that is. That one's still a little shiny. That one looks really, really good. Let's take a look at the valve seat itself. Clean the compound off. That looks really good too. If you can see there. This part's really hard to pick up on camera. I've done many heads, and for some reason the video just doesn't seem to pick it up. I'll try one more time here, see if you guys can see it. This area right here is a dull looking. You can see the one I haven't done yet is still shiny. This dull looking means the compound has ground that surface, and you want to look and make sure it's uniform all the way around. And I know there's absolutely no way you guys are going to see that on camera, but I'm looking right now and I have a uniform ring all the way around, and that is a beautiful seat. That one's done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the other three and come back when I'm finished. All the seats are lapped in now. I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see it, but they all came out nice. You can see the nice ring on all the valves. They came out really nice. I just need to clean these up real good now with brake clean. These all look fantastic. I'm just going to hit this surface one more time before I degrease it all and clean it all up. I just came back from spraying this all down with brake clean. It looks pretty good right now. Everything is nice and clean. One thing I want to make sure though is that every single valve guide is clean of debris. So I want to run a Q-tip down there and make sure I get everything out of the valve guides that might be in there. I'm gonna get my gasket set here, and we're gonna take the valve seals out. The way we put these on is I have this fancy little tool here. They're pretty hard to push down inside there because they're pretty deep. So what I do is I have this tool and I put the seal on the tool, and then I push this down inside the guide, and then I snap the seal on. I like to put a little bit of oil in the seal, not much, just a drop. And I put it in like this and push down. That's it. You hear it snap, it's in. Go to the next one. This tool makes life easy. They're in there. All right, so now what we want to do is put the valves back in. And I got to clean all this up first, so let me do that. And then I'll show you one valve, do the rest off camera, and come back when I'm done. What I like to do is oil the stem before I put it in. Rotate it a few times. Just seat it. It's going to pop when it goes through the seal. There it is. Now you know it's in. And that new seal is super tight on there, so it's going to hold it and not give us any issues. So next thing you want to do is you want to take the spring and you want to drop the spring down in the over the stem, and then you want to put the spring retainer, clean that up, make sure it's good and clean, and then you want that to go over that. Use the tweezers, and I'm just going to drop them in right where they belong. There's one, and this is the most tricky part. That's why you need this spring compressor, or else you'll never do this without it. All right, I think I got them in. Yep. All right, now I'm going to slowly roll this out to seat that. And that valve is completely seated. And that's what we're looking to do right there. So I am going to do the rest of these off camera. As you can see, it's a little bit of a tedious process, and I'll come back when I'm done. All right, all the valves are in. They look good. Everything's nice now. The head is nice and clean. It's all rebuilt, ready to go. New valve seals. Springs are all in. Now I want to install the buckets, and I will show you how I'm going to clean those, which is the same deal. So I'm going to put this back the way it's supposed to be, and this is the first exhaust. This is the exhaust here, so we're going to take this one, and I want to take the shim out, and I just want to hit these lightly with some brake cleaner, and then just wipe them off. I like to take a little bit of oil, put it right on top of the stem where the shim sits, and then put the shim in. And then I want to put some more oil all over this, and then all over this bucket on the sides, and I want to slide it right on. That's it. I'm going to do the rest of these. All right, guys, the head is done. It is ready for install. And there's nothing really else we have to do to it. So I am going to set this aside. And we are going to move on to the cylinder, which is right here. And I'm going to slap a hone in that. And we're going to clean this all up. So that's next. Let me put this aside and then we'll get set up. Let's work on the cylinder now. And let's slap a hone in it. Let's take care of that now. And I usually use the WD-40 inside the bore. Move it up a little bit. And like I said before, we're going to do this real fast. So I don't want to take any of the plating off. That should be good enough. Let's take a look at that. See what we got. Looks good to me. Let me grab some light. You can see that in there. Got some pretty nice cross hatching now, and that will allow the rings to seat. That's it. All right, let me what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean this top surface with my stone, same as before. I already showed you guys that process. And I'm gonna clean the bottom surface here, and then I'm going to take it and brake clean the whole thing, and we're going to check the end ring gap on the new rings. All right, cylinder's all nice and clean. There's no oil, grease, debris, anything on it. She's all ready to go. Now let's check out the piston. We got the rings, and there's the piston. And boy, I'll tell you what, there's nothing prettier. And we get the circlips and the wrist pin. There's nothing prettier than a new piston. And it's a shame that it gets hidden inside the motor and it doesn't stay this nice for long. But man, when you get a nice Pro X piston, boy, I'll tell you what, the quality at which they machine these, second to none. I mean, look at that. Their standards are higher than OEM. Yep, it's a beautiful thing. We'll put it back in the bubble wrap so it doesn't get damaged, and put it back in the box. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna check the ring end gap, and we're gonna need to pull the rings. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna check the top ring and the bottom ring. Oil rings we usually don't bother checking, but we definitely want to make sure that our main rings are in spec. All right, set these aside for now. All right, so the ring end gap is 20 thousandths on both rings. So let's check that. And we're gonna put the first one in. And usually you set it with the piston. So I'm gonna use the piston to set it. And we'll try the top one first. Numbers up. Let's pop this in. And we'll make sure it's square to the bore with the piston. I should do. And you can see the ring end gap there. Let me grab a light. The ring end gap. We are going to check that, see if it's 20 thousandths. If it's not 20 thousandths, then we need to make it bigger, because if this thing closes up, when it gets hot, it'll seize and damage the piston and the ring, and we don't want that. All right, here's the 20. Let's see what that goes in. And it goes in. I'll tell you what, there's been very few Pro X pistons that I've had to rework the rings on. Maybe one since I've been buying them. But you always want to check this. You don't want to take it for granted, because this can really ruin a build if you don't do this. And the 20 goes in that one. So we are good to go on the ring gap. And I guess at this point I'm going to end video 2, and we'll come back with video 3. We'll pull the motor out of the frame, and we'll break it down, split the cases, and hopefully maybe do some reassembly in the same video. We'll see how much time it takes to do all that. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank everyone for subscribing. Please hit the subscribe button if you guys are watching. If anyone is watching this that's not previously subscribed, please subscribe. It helps the channel out. I want to try to grow the channel more, and I need the subscribers to do it. So I'd appreciate anyone who's not subscribed if you could just smash that subscribe button for me. It really be helping me out. So again, we're gonna end this video. I'll see you guys in video 3, and once again, thanks for watching.